When you ask most people about Dominique Wilkins, they'll bring up his monster dunks, as he threw it down with so much force that you thought he would tear the rim off. However, he was so much more than just a pure athlete. He had insane hops, but he was also blazing fast in transition, using his elite body control to contort himself away from the defense to finish. He had a lethal spin move that was nearly impossible to guard. His outside shot was slept on, as were his skills in the post, and don't forget about his work on the defensive end. After a dominant career at Georgia, he stayed in the Peach State, being traded to the Hawks on draft day. He was the best player on the team for a decade, establishing himself as one of the best scorers in the league. Even though he averaged over 25 points for 10 years straight, the Hawks could never achieve the playoff success of the other elite teams in the East. Dominique was one of the most exciting players and ferocious dunkers in NBA history, going down as arguably the best Hawk ever. So let's look into his legendary career. Welcome to PG Hoops, and let's get down to it. Dominique was born on January 12, 1960 in Paris, France, as his father was stationed in the U.S. Army. His family lived in Dallas and Baltimore before settling in North Carolina, where Dominique attended Washington High School. He won back-to-back MVPs and back-to-back state titles in his junior and senior years, as he dropped 48 points, 27 rebounds, and 8 blocks in his best high school game. He was named the first-team parade All-American, and the summer of his senior year was pretty busy, as he played in the McDonald's All-American game, the Capitol Classic, the Kentucky Derby Festival Classic, and the Dapper Dan Classic. Dominique didn't go too far for college, attending the University of Georgia. He was the injection of excitement that the Bulldogs needed, and he was producing as soon as he stepped on campus, dropping 26 points in his college debut against Troy State. That was followed by 21 on Kentucky, 26 on Lenore-Rhine, and 22 on Florida. But Georgia was one of the lowest scoring teams in the nation, leading to them suffering a 7-game losing streak this season. After an opening round loss to Auburn in the SEC tournament, their season ended with a 14-13 record. Dominique's freshman year was extremely promising, as he made the All-SEC third team with averages of 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 steals, and 1.5 blocks. The Bulldogs retooled in 1980, signing All-American guard Vern Fleming. Dominique took over as the #1 option, and he quickly became one of the best players in the country, dropping 31 on Georgia Tech, 32 on Kentucky, and 37 on Florida. He was showing potential as a two-way star, leading the SEC in scoring, while ranking 9th nationally in blocks. Despite his dominance, the Bulldogs were still inconsistent, finishing the regular season at 14-10. Dominique averaged 24 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2.5 blocks, as Georgia was in 5th place heading into the SEC tournament. He led them past Alabama and LSU, but they lost to Ole Miss in the championship game. They qualified for the NIT, but they lost in the semifinals to South Alabama by 1 point. The Bulldogs ran it back in 1981, and Dominique was looking like a surefire NBA prospect, dropping 28 on Florida, 29 on Alabama, and 33 on Ole Miss. As was the case again, he was playing great, but the team was average, finishing 15-10 and losing in the first round of the SEC tournament. Dominique's junior year saw him average 21 points, 8 rebounds, a steal, and 1.5 blocks. The Bulldogs were in the NIT once again, but they lost in the championship game to Purdue by 1 point. Dominique felt like he had nothing else to prove in college, so he declared for the draft after his junior year. He was chosen 3rd overall by the Jazz. However, he didn't want to play power forward, and with the Jazz already struggling financially, they dealt him to the Hawks for John Drew, Freeman Williams, and $1 million, as this would become one of the most lopsided trades in NBA history. The Hawks were far from contention, but they weren't a bad team, as Dan Roundfield, Eddie Johnson, and Tree Rollins were important pieces. Dominique started his pro career with a bang, dropping 23 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 steals in his NBA debut. He kept up this pace, averaging 21 points over the next 14 games. He was already showing flashes of elite scoring, dropping 25 20-point games and 5 30-point games, including a season-high 34 points on 15 of 19 shooting against the Bulls. Aside from his scoring, he used his elite athleticism on the glass, ranking 15th in offensive rebounds. The Hawks ran an extremely slow pace that emphasized defense, as Dan and Tree were all defensive members, with the latter averaging over 4 blocks a game. Atlanta finished 43-39, benefiting from a weak Central Division to make the playoffs. Dominique was extremely solid as a rookie, averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. The Hawks faced the Celtics in the semifinals, as this was the first matchup between Dominique and Larry Bird, a rivalry that would go down in history later on. He played well in his postseason debut, dropping 21 points and 6 rebounds, but the Hawks lost. After this, he couldn't find the range, shooting just 29% over the next 2 games, as Atlanta was swept. The Hawks made a few changes in 1983, hiring Mike Fratello as their new coach, while drafting Doc Rivers and Randy Whitman. Dominique continued to get better, dropping 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 steals in the season opener. It seemed like he had improved defensively as well, putting up 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, and a career-high 6 blocks against the Pacers. He nearly had a 5-by-5 game against Washington with 35 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, and 4 blocks. This was the best shot blocking season of his career actually, as he recorded at least 3 rejections in 7 games. He dropped at least 30 14 times, finishing the season ranked 17th in points and 9th in offensive rebounds. The Hawks were still a great defensive team, but they could only rely on Dominique and Dan for consistent scoring. Their 40-42 record was pedestrian, but they still earned the first round matchup against the Bucks. Dominique averaged 22 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals, and a block. He dropped 3 straight 20-point performances to start the series, but the Hawks were down 2-1. He was inefficient in Game 4, but the Hawks pulled out a close one to extend the series. Game 5 was forgettable, as he shot 6 for 19 in a blowout loss. In 1984, Atlanta wanted youth in the front court, so they traded Dan to the Pistons for Antoine Carr and Cliff Livingston. They also selected Michigan State's Kevin Willis with the 11th pick. The Hawks were a team on the rise, even though it wouldn't be anytime soon. Dominique was handed the keys to the offense, continuing tradition with 34 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in the season opener. He dropped 29 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 6 blocks on the Pacers, 47 points on 58% shooting against Boston, and 48 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 steals on the Pistons. Dominique was also experimenting from the 3-point line, making 25 of them. Even though he was averaging 27 points at the break, he wasn't named an All-Star, but he did participate in the weekend's festivities, winning his first slam dunk championship. But after the break, Dominique continued to carry this team, as Eddie and Doc were the only other double-figure scorers. This time, their great defense couldn't make up for their woeful offense, as they only won 34 games, missing the playoffs. Dominique averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. The Wilkins family had more to rejoice about, as Dominique's younger brother Gerald was drafted in the second round by the Knicks in 1985. The Hawks felt like they needed another frontcourt player, so they took John Koncak with the 5th pick, ahead of some guys named Detlef Schrempf, Charles Oakley, and Karl Malone. They also selected a 7'3" Lithuanian named Arvydas Sabonis in the 4th round, but the Soviet Union wouldn't let him go stateside. This Hawks team was built for Dominique to take all the shots, and that's exactly what he did. He dropped 32 in the season opener, followed by 40 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 steals 3 games later. His scoring was off the charts this year, and he was on fire heading into the All-Star break, playing on Sunday for the first time in his career. But before that, he was set to defend his dunk contest crown, but he would fall to an unlikely opponent, his own teammate Spud Webb. His dunks weren't as spectacular as Dominique's, but to even participate in a contest like this at 5'6" was a spectacle in itself. After the break, Dominique continued to put up points at an amazing pace, dropping at least 30 37 times, at least 46 times, and a career-high 57 points on 57% shooting against New Jersey. It seemed like he was the Hawks' entire offense, as nobody else averaged more than 13 points a game, but they finally found a formula that works, winning 50 games, their most in 7 years. Dominique won the scoring title this year, making the All-NBA first team, averaging 30 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. The Hawks faced the Pistons in the first round, and he was completely in the zone, dropping 28 points in Game 1, and 50 points on 19 of 28 shooting in Game 2. The Hawks lost Game 3 on the road, but Dominique came back with 38 points and 8 rebounds to help Atlanta win their first playoff series since 1970. The almighty Celtics met them in the second round, and although they were overmatched, Dominique did all he could, dropping 38 points in Game 3 and 37 points in Game 4, but he couldn't hit the side of a barn in Game 5, and Atlanta was blown out. Kevin and Doc would improve in 1986, but it was all on Dominique to lead the offensive attack. He started the season as usual with 39 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals. He dropped 57 points on 68% shooting against the Bulls, 54 points on 56% shooting on the Celtics, and 53 points on 76% shooting on the Clippers. He finished second in scoring and free throws behind Michael Jordan, as Kevin, Doc, Randy, and Mike McGee all contributed to Atlanta's #1 defense, and their offense had finally caught up, leading to a then franchise record 57 wins. Dominique averaged 29 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals, as the Hawks met the Pacers in the first round. He averaged 33 points as they easily beat Indiana in 4 games, but the Pistons were their second round matchup, and they keyed in on Dominique, holding him to 38% shooting in a 5-game series win. The Hawks didn't make any significant changes in the offseason, so they came into 1987 with the exact same team. Dominique continued to be Atlanta's entire offense, dropping at least 30 29 times and at least 40 13 times. He averaged 29 points in December, 32 points in January, and 38 points in February. Doc Rivers had an all-star season, but nobody outside of him and Neek averaged more than 12 points. The Hawks had their 3rd straight 50-win season, as Dominique averaged a career-high 31 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1.5 steals. They matched up with Milwaukee in the first round, as he dropped 43 in Game 2, 31 in Game 4, and 33 in a closeout Game 5. Atlanta advanced to face the Celtics again. In this particular matchup with Larry and Dominique was simply known as the duel. Larry dropped 38 in Game 1 to strike first blood, while Kevin McHale went insane in Game 2, dropping 32 points on 13 of 17 shooting to go up 2-0. Dominique and Kevin Willis combined for 48 points to help Atlanta get on the board in Game 3, while he dropped 40 in Game 4 to tie the series. The Hawks' big three combined for 73 points in Game 5 to take the series lead. Even with Dominique's 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists in Game 6, the Celtics went on the road to force in Game 7. He put up a valiant effort in a closeout game, dropping 47 points, but Larry put up 34, with 20 coming in the fourth quarter alone, helping the Celtics win by 2. The Hawks finally got Dominique some help in 1988, acquiring Moses Malone and Reggie Theus, as Kevin missed the entire year with a fractured foot. Dominique averaged 28 points in November and December, including 41 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 steals against the Cavs, and 39 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 steals against the Pacers. He was 7th in scoring, while Moses averaged 20 and 12, and the Hawks were in the top 10 on both sides of the ball, finishing 52 and 30. Dominique averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, as the Hawks met the Bucks again in the first round. He dropped 28, 5, and 5 in a Game 1 win, but they would lose the next 2. In Game 4, he put up 24 points, including 4 3-pointers as they went in overtime, forcing a Game 5. He put up 22 points, but the Hawks lost at home to be eliminated. As usual, the Hawks didn't do anything in the offseason, so once again, it was the Dominique Carey show in 1989. He dropped 44 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists on the Bucks, and 43 points and 5 rebounds on the Suns. He also had 24 games with at least 30 points, finishing 5th in scoring, but an injury to Doc really hurt him defensively. Dominique was also shooting more threes this year, making 59 of them, and he also captured the second slam dunk crown over Sacramento's Kenny Smith. However, this was a down season for the Hawks, as they only won 41 games, missing the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. Dominique averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. Mike Fratello resigned in 1990, and Bob Weiss was hired. He decided to bring Moses off the bench for John Koncak, while Sidney Moncrief came out of retirement to contribute. Dominique did Dominique things, but he was a lot more active on the glass, dropping 33 double-doubles and averaging 30 points and 11 rebounds in February. He also attempted 249 threes this year, finishing 12th in the league with 85 makes. The Hawks' team philosophy changed with Bob, as they were now a good offensive team with a terrible defense, but their 43-39 record was enough to get back into the playoffs. Dominique averaged 26 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. The Hawks faced the Pistons in the first round, but his shot wasn't falling, shooting just 37%, including 10 points on 4 of 18 shooting in a Game 5 blowout loss. The Hawks selected Stacey Augmon with the 9th pick in 1991, and this team looked a lot different, as Ramil Robinson and Blair Rasmussen were the new starters. Dominique continued to be an offensive weapon, averaging 27 points in the first month and 30 points in December, including a season-high 52 points on the Knicks, but on January 28th against Philly, he ruptured his Achilles, an injury that was still considered career-ending at this point. Dominique made an improbable comeback in 1992, as Mookie Blaylock was a new starting point guard. It didn't seem like he was coming off an injury at all, averaging 28 points in the first month. He also set an NBA record against the Bulls on December 8th, making all 23 of his foul shots. He fractured his finger a week later and missed 11 games, but when he came back, he dropped 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks from the Warriors, as he also averaged 31 points for the rest of the season. He became the Hawks' all-time leading scorer this year while becoming a legitimate three-point shooter, making 120 of them at a 38% clip. Coming off an Achilles injury, he nearly had the best season of his career, as the Hawks finished 43-39. Dominique averaged 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, as Atlanta faced Chicago in the first round. But the Hawks were no match for the two-time defending champions, as although Dominique kept up the season averages, the Hawks were swept. Atlanta hired Dominique Wilkins to be their new head coach in 1993, as Dominique wasn't showing any signs of slowing down in his 12th season. He was averaging 24 points in the first 49 games, but the Hawks management felt that the change was needed, so they sent him to the Clippers in exchange for Danny Manning. However, a lot of people felt like he was traded for financial reasons, as Atlanta might have been hesitant in giving a long-term deal to a 34-year-old player. The Clippers were a struggling squad, as Ron Harper, Mark Jackson, and Louis Vaught were the main pieces. Dominique dropped 34 points in his team debut, while he put up 36 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in his return to Atlanta. He made another All-NBA team, but the Clippers had the worst defense in the league, so they finished with 27 wins. Between the two teams, Dominique averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. He was a free agent in 1994, so he signed a 3-year deal with the Celtics. Shortly after signing, he joined the Dream Team 2 as they won the gold medal in the FIBA World Championships. Boston was far removed from their glory of the 80s, as D. Brown, Dino Raja, Sherman Douglas, and Eric Montross comprised the starting lineup. This was also the season that Dominique finally slowed down, but he still showed his greatness, dropping 43 points and 9 rebounds on the Rockets, 32 points and 7 rebounds on the Pistons, and 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 steals on the Sixers. Injuries really hurt this team, as Dino, Sherman, David Wesley, and Purvis Ellison all missed significant time. The Celtics were painfully average, but 35 wins was enough to sneak into the playoffs. Dominique averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists, as Boston faced the Shaq and Penny-led Magic in the first round. He shot 38% in Game 1, as the Celtics lost by 47 points. He bounced back with 24 in Game 2 to tie the series, but he was struggling after this, shooting 35% in the next 2 as Boston was eliminated. In the summer of 1995, the presidents of the Greek club Panathinaikos wanted to achieve EuroLeague success, so they noticed that Dominique had a buyout clause in his contract. They swooped in, offering him a 2-year deal worth $7 million, the richest deal for a player outside the NBA at the time. When he arrived in Athens, he was greeted by 5,000 fans at the airport, and 13,000 showed up to his first practice session. The club provided several accommodations for him, including a 4-star villa of his choosing, a maid and 2 cars, while they even took care of his Greek taxes. But everything that glittered wasn't gold, as he was frequently fined for making too many personal trips back to the States, and he felt like he was frequently targeted by the coach. On the court, he was playing like his normal self, averaging 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists in 17 games played in the EuroLeague. Panathinaikos won the EuroLeague championship and the Greek Cup. After a disappointing loss in the Greek League Finals, Dominique and his agent were notified that his contract would be terminated after 1 season. A week later, they were hit with a lawsuit by the team, asking that Dominique be barred from accessing $4 million worth of letters and credit that he received as part of the deal. They cited multiple examples from leaving the team, as they claimed that he faked injuries. After resolving that issue, Dominique returned to the NBA, signing a free agent deal with the Spurs. After David Robinson got hurt 6 games in, this season was essentially a wash, but Dominique excelled off the bench. He dropped 28 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks against the Lakers, 33 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 assists on the Blazers, and 32 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists on the Jazz. The Spurs fired Bob Hill 18 games in, and GM Greg Popovich took over. Dominique actually led the team in scoring, finishing 7th and 6th Man of the Year voting, but the Spurs were lost without the Admiral, winning only 20 games. He averaged 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. Dominique returned to play overseas, this time signing with Portitudo Bologna of the Italian League. There weren't any shenanigans this time around, so he averaged 18 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists in Italian and EuroLeague play. However, they failed to make the EuroLeague Final Four. During the 1998 lockout season, a 39-year-old Dominique signed to play with the Orlando Magic, teaming up with his younger brother Gerald. Shaq left to join the Lakers in the offseason, but the Magic still had Penny, Horace Grant, Nick Anderson, and Darrell Armstrong. Dominique had a minimal role, but he still played well when he got time, dropping 17 points and 6 rebounds on the Nets, along with a season-high 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists on the Bulls. He only played in 27 of a possible 50 games, but the Magic were still decent, as Penny was Penny, and Darrell won the Most Improved in the 6th Man of the Year award. The Magic finished 33-17, as Dominique averaged 5 points and 3 rebounds. He only played 2 minutes in the first round against Philly, which they lost in 4 games. Dominique retired in the offseason, and he's been quite busy ever since. Since 2004, he served as the Hawks' Vice President of Basketball Operations. He does color commentary for them as well, while he also started his own basketball academy and dabbled in the business of fine wines. In 2015, the Hawks unveiled a statue in his honor that sits in front of State Farm Arena. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2006, and with a lot of people feeling like he was left off the 50th anniversary team, he was named to the 75th anniversary team. Dominique Wilkins had God-given athletic ability, and he used it to the fullest. He wasn't just a dunker though, he was a power dunker, as defenders were toast once he got a clear lane to the basket. His tomahawk and double clutch dunks were revolutionary for the time, and he thrived as one of the league's best scorers for over a decade, bringing a new level of excitement to the game. However, the Hawks failed to build a winning team around him, essentially wasting all of his prime years. Due to the lack of real playoff success, his career often gets overlooked when compared to the other legends of the game. But regardless, Dominique established himself as the best player in franchise history, and one of the best players of all time. Thank you guys, I really appreciate y'all so much. Not gonna lie to you, when I was doing more research to his career, it just felt so weird when he wasn't on the Hawks. You kind of just associate that with the player, like when you associate Dirk in the Mavs jersey, Tim Duncan in the Spurs jersey. You don't imagine these guys going to different teams. But it seems like the Hawks really didn't do anything. They wasted his whole career. You're telling me you got one of the best players in the league and you can't get anyone else to help him? It seemed like the whole system was just to let Dominique shoot all the shots and just get a bunch of defensive guys around him. Wouldn't you want somebody else to take the scoring load off him? Like, by the time you got him a decent player, it was a 33-year-old Moses Malone. I can't really fault them because I don't know if they could have beat Boston at their best. I don't know if they could have beat Philly at their best. I don't know if they could have beat Chicago at their best. I don't know if they could have beat Detroit at their best. The East was stacked back then. Like all the other great teams, they had multiple stars. They had multiple elite players that could impact the game. When you're playing the Hawks, all you gotta do is key in on Dominique. Shout out to Dominique, man. One of the most exciting players ever. Still watching his dunks today is just ridiculous. Just seeing how easy he got off the ground. Such a great player for the Hawks. Thank you guys. Really appreciate y'all. Thank you. Please be safe. Stay on the grind. I'm out. Peace.